back with the podcast.
We're back.
Took a little bit of time off. We had Origin Camp. We had some travel. We had a little bit of illness. And I had a crazy work schedule, but we're back.
Yes. The travel and the illness was me.
The work schedule was me. But we're back. How are you? We're back in Vero. Classes are going on at the Wash and Fold.
Wash and Fold is kicking ass right now.
Right on. Did anything change once school started? People leave, people come.
Well, we're getting into the what they call the snowbird season now. People are starting. I'm starting to see some of the car carriers coming down where people come here for the winter. It used to be just January, February, March, but I think people are shifting December, maybe part of November too, even.
Right on. Were you guys affected by the hurricane at all?
Not really. We had some winds, not terrible, and we had a bit of rain. That was it. I mean, it was kind of like they were bands, so it wasn't constant. So we had a couple things rolled by, and but not like the rest of the East Coast they got walloped. We got very minimal. I had like 8 branches come down, 8 palm fronds come down. No big deal. We didn't lose anything, didn't have to board up, didn't have to evacuate.
It seems like the Carolinas got the worst of it.
Carolinas absolutely got the worst of it. I feel so bad. I mean, there's like over 600 people still unaccounted for.
Wow. Unaccounted for.
Wow.
Yeah, it's some towns.
They were just washed away.
Yeah. I saw a lot of roads were also like completely flooded, so getting help into emergency areas has been difficult.
Bridges just disappearing from the water. Water will destroy everything.
Yeah. It's growing up on the West Coast, we only had earthquakes.
Yes.
I'll take earthquakes over hurricanes any day.
Yeah, until you get caught in a bad earthquake. At least with hurricanes, you have some warning. How much warning do you have on an earthquake?
None.
None.
Been there, done that.
Yes.
I'd
rather know it's coming.
I'll still stick with the earthquake. Make it short and sweet. Get it over with. Move on with our lives. Any food talk? Any food topics we need to go over to upset our listeners before?
I'm on a crazy pancake binge.
Pancakes. What's your go-to for pancake? You make them at home?
I have. I use a premix.
Yeah.
Called Kodiak.
All right.
They're great. And I have been mixing in some vanilla milk, extra protein with that.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Do you do butter or maple syrup?
I do both.
All right.
I have a special maple syrup technique even for pancakes.
Oh, all right. What's that?
You get your stack, okay, and then I cut like a chimney in the middle.
Okay, like you take the core out.
I take the core out. I fill that up with maple syrup, put the core back in. That way it
pushes it out into the
pancakes. So it doesn't spill over the top onto the plate. Okay.
Right.
I start with that, and then I put a little on top.
Where does the butter go?
I'll poke the top ones with like a fork, and I'll pour a little bit on the top. That way the pancakes saturate with the syrup.
Where does the butter go?
Yeah, when I'm done, I put a slab of butter. The next one, slab of butter. Let it melt.
Right.
Let it soak in.
Do you do cream, fruit, chocolate chips?
Nope.
No. You're not a chocolate chip pancake guy.
Not a chocolate chip pancake guy. No. That's dessert and breakfast. They don't cross. They don't intertwine. Dessert and breakfast. I know you like a little.
I have definitely.
Breakfast. I know that.
Yes. I will overload on the sugar.
Yes. So I like pancakes. Now I'm gonna try to start making my own mix.
Yeah.
There's a way to make it. So I'm gonna give that a try.
When I was in Philly, there was a spot, I forgot the name of the place. There was a diner I used to go to in Philly whenever I'd visit. And I think it was called Honey's maybe. And they used to make a burrito, like a breakfast burrito. but it was a pancake. So you have to make the pancake a specific way in order to roll it like that.
Yeah.
And then it was just filled with like eggs, cheese, and meat.
It's almost like a crepe. A crepe is like a very thin.
This was full-blown pancake. But I guess it's just maybe they finished cooking it after they rolled it. I don't know. But they put the eggs, the cheese, the meat in there. It was amazing.
Yeah. I saw somebody the other day, I was looking at it, and they dip bacon in pancake batter and then make it so it's like almost like a bacon pancake corn dog.
Yeah.
Looked interesting.
Seen that with Oreos. Deep fried Oreos. That's part of the recipe.
Yeah. You can throw deep fried Oreos in your pancakes.
There you go. Any thoughts on this was a topic being whispered amongst the gym a little bit. What are your thoughts on potato salad? No go.
No go.
No one likes potato salad anymore. I don't know if anyone ever did.
Yeah, well, you got your Hellman's potato salad, and your German potato salad, which is made with oil, not mayonnaise. I don't care for either one.
Okay.
I'm not a big coleslaw guy. I'm not a chicken salad guy. I'm not a tuna salad guy. No, keep your mushy salads.
Pasta salad? Nah.
Well, no, pasta salad. Yeah, I would do that because it's like a little oil and vinegar on pasta with some peppers, onions, and maybe some salami or cheese in there. I can do with that. That's like it's almost like an antipasta.
Right.
So I could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I feel like I'm alone on the potato salad front.
You like potato salad?
Specific kinds of potato salad. Like I think that's called redskin potato salad.
Yeah. The red.
It's like a little bit more potato, a little bit less mush.
Okay. Well, I think that's the German potato salad.
It might be the German one, yeah.
Yeah. That's usually red potatoes and some kind of oil and other things. And,
Yeah. All right, that's the food talk.
Okay.
We got the pancakes. Pancakes is going to be on the menu for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just on a tremendous pancake kick. Your cast iron pan, doing it right.
Do you do one at a time, or is it your pan big
One
enough?
at a time. That's the way you do it.
All right.
I don't have anything big enough to do multiples yet.
That's my problem. Is I try to rush it. I try to do multiple at a time, and then it's not even the spacing. It screws up the heat of each individual pancake.
Yeah, but do they need to be piping hot to eat them?
I just want to get it over with.
See, that's little. You gotta.
Yeah.
What do I always say? Patience, right?
Patience. I know.
You have to execute patience in your whole life. That includes pancakes.
It includes pancakes.
Yes.
Speaking of things that we're trying to work on, both in jiu-jitsu and in our lives, the topic we wanted to touch on today is fear.
Yes, the management of fear.
Management of fear. Why don't you brief us a little bit on the thought you had, how it came to you on your long drive down from New York?
This is a whole I had about 20 some hours worth of driving in a cargo truck. In the front, not the back. Just to be clear.
It wasn't one of those trips.
Yes, it wasn't the tied up in the back of the cargo truck. It was actually behind the wheel with two puppies and a truck full of stuff. So anyway, it was a long drive from Catskill, New York to Vero Beach. And I was thinking about what hinders us? What are we not telling ourselves? What are we not admitting? And it's the machismo of the fighter, right? The no fear, the fearlessness. Fear is a very healthy thing. It's an instinct, and it's kept mammals alive on this planet for eons, right?
Yeah.
Fear. Now, first of all, how do we define fear as it relates to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or grappling or fighting?
First thing that comes to my mind is panic. Like whenever you get it to that fight or flight where you just need to make a decision quickly because you're afraid, because you're worried about something. Something's like, you feel something is off and you're like, I need to do something.
Okay. I've been thinking about this, and I would have a Webster's definition of fear for jiu-jitsu as an acute awareness of danger.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
A logical practical. What is dangerous? What is not dangerous? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a difficult thing to teach people, isn't it? What to be afraid of.
Yeah.
How do you teach somebody to be afraid of something? You could teach people to respect things, right? But how do you teach them how to fear something? And that's, I think, fear that's an emotion, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a learned trait. There's no classes on fear. Well, there are probably classes on fear, like fear of flying is a class. But do you conquer your fear, or do you put a Band-Aid on it and you get by?
Most times we're managing it, right? We're learning.
Okay, so that's why management of fear.
Yeah.
Like I always say, you can't stop anything. You can only slow it down enough to get ahead of it. Same thing with our fears and our sense of dangers. We can only manage it. We can't eliminate it. So why not embrace it and use it in your own benefit?
Okay.
All right. So we touch hands and we're on our knees and we're going to move forward with the roll. Are you afraid of anything?
Not yet, no.
I am.
What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of your grips.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Right? That's the first thing in our interaction is going to be grips, isn't it?
Yeah.
Should I be worried about getting armbarred?
No.
No. Should I be worried about getting mounted?
No.
Giving up my back?
Nah, not necessarily.
No, we're not there yet.
No, the grips, depending on the grips, those things will follow, but the grips are the first thing that's going to happen.
So, do you think people think just about the grips, or do they think about everything else that's going to possibly happen to them?
They think about getting tapped. They're afraid of getting tapped from the get-go.
They're afraid of getting tapped. They're afraid of getting their guard passed.
Okay.
They're afraid of getting their back taken. All right? Yeah. So you're taking on a tremendous amount of burden unnecessarily, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you think that affects the rest of the roll?
You're already like one step behind.
You're one step behind. Yes. You're calculating and thinking about things that not only haven't happened, but may never happen. You are not living in the moment. You are living in the future.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it possible to live in the future realistically?
No.
No. So, yes, I think people fear especially old people. They fear the wrong things. And how do you go forward with a game plan? Okay, I'm going to say all these fears you're unnecessarily experiencing, how are they helping your game plan on how to work?
They're not helping your game plan.
No. Right away, your game plan is kind of null and void, isn't it?
Yeah, you're kind of, if you're fearing stuff that hasn't happened yet, you're kind of already preparing. Your attention is on the other person's game plan, I guess this would be a good way of putting it, right? You're not thinking about what you want to do. You're thinking about what you're concerned that the other person's going to be doing in 2 moves from now.
Yes. So are you playing your game or their game at that?
Playing their game.
You're playing their game. So off the bat, you've conceded to play their game.
Right.
Do you think that's a good plan?
No.
No, that's not. Does that work out for people? Not usually.
No.
Not usually. But we've all been guilty of it, and we've willingly gone through it.
Of course, yeah.
And when it doesn't work out, who do we blame?
Everyone but ourselves.
Pretty much.
The guy's bigger. The guy's been training longer. Oh, I'm tired. I didn't sleep well last night.
I ate too much at lunch.
Yeah,
I worked hard yesterday, so today was supposed to be my off day, but this guy grabbed me to roll.
My instructor didn't show me the defense to that yet. Whatever it is.
Yes, I'm in the wrong school. They're not teaching me the right stuff. It's everybody's fault but your own. So that's one role we just talked about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not the drilling, the training, the note taking, possibly the stretching afterwards, the diet, the rest time, the rest of your day-to-day life. We're just talking about one roll right there. And how complicated was that one roll just now? Thought-wise. I'm not talking physically. Thought-wise, how complicated was that?
Doesn't necessarily have to be very complicated.
No, it was. There's too much going on.
Oh, you're saying because of the fear, like you're
Because of the fear, and then the shifting of blame.
Oh, yeah.
The excuses.
Yes, right.
The planning, like I need to do this, that, all this other stuff.
There's a lot of emotional investment that's going into just this one roll.
Yeah, so one instance, not even a roll, the nexus, the beginning of that roll.
There's a lot. It's heavy.
It's way too much, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, afterwards, you are rethinking everything you've done, aren't you?
Sure.
You're second guessing yourself. You're blaming other people. You're not taking accountability. Why? Because a very natural human instinct, you just kind of swept to the side. Right?
Yeah.
No matter what, it's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Right? You can't get rid of it. The fight or flight, everything else, the psyche, the ego, you can't get rid of it. So why not work with it and not battle it, Because at the end, that's your enemy, isn't it?
It's going to do its thing either way.
That's what's really submitting you, not the person on the mats.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does it look like if you work with it?
Well, you're just thinking about one thing at a time. Like we tap hands. I'm like, okay, the one thing that's going to hurt me the most is your grips. Okay. And then I look at your posture. Then I look at if your feet are going to be controlling, the distance more than I'm controlling the distance. Right. But I'm not going to get to the feet until I've already figured out the grips. Once the grips are figured out, okay, now I can worry about if I've got the upper half of the body with the grips, if I have a plan about that and I'm looking to either grip initially or counter grip, okay, then once that game is working, then I can worry about controlling the space with my knees or my feet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what am I afraid of there?
Right now, your concern is just exactly what you described. You're concerned about the grips, and then you're concerned about the feet, and then you're concerned about the posture and the movement.
Yeah. I'm taking it one piece at a time, and I'm actively putting my knowledge, learned things I trained, into effect. Okay. I'm just focused small, right? I'm not looking, I'm going to tap him or is he going to tap me? Does that matter right now? No, it doesn't. No. None of that matters right now.
Is it, am I going to get this grip or is he going to get this grip?
Yes. No. How am I going to win the grip battle?
Okay. Okay.
Not about what it doesn't matter what the other person does. How do I get grip dominance? I'm getting grip dominance. That's what I tell myself. No matter what, I'll get grip dominance.
And that's where the attention is. That's
where all the attention is. I am afraid of his grips, but I'm doing something about the grips.
Proactively.
I'm not thinking about having my back taken. I'm not thinking about having my guard passed. I'm thinking on one simple thing, real time, in the present. Right? Yeah. You can't change what just happened, and you can't predict what's about to happen. You have right now and right now only. So if you focus on right now's fears and battle them as they pop up, don't think, right? Remember the chess analogy?
Boy, I break the table and smash everything, and then
that's it. That's how you play chess. You knock all the pieces off the board, you smack the guy in the mouth, and you won.
And that's right.
That's it. That's chess. Right? I think people put a lot of pressure within the end goal. I'm
Yeah.
going for the submission. Okay. What about all that stuff that happens in between now and then?
Right. Right.
I was looking to get to Florida by a certain time, right?
Yeah.
What I didn't take into account was the 4 hours of traffic between Baltimore and Washington, D.C.
Right.
Okay. Now, could we say that's kind of like a jiu-jitsu role?
Sure.
I was looking too much at the destination
Right.
that I didn't see the big
Right.
traffic jam ahead of me.
Right.
And I get so upset, and it's everybody else's fault. Right?
Yeah.
How could it be my fault? I'm just driving a truck. How could it be my problem? Well, maybe I didn't plan well enough with my exit strategy leaving.
So on that note, we have a plan. We go in with our plan. We have good intentions. We keep our focus in the right place. And then our plan goes to hell.
Yeah.
So now it's like a recurring thing, right? Like we went in, we stayed here, and then I got hit with traffic, or the guy did pass my guard. How does someone, now you're playing catch up for real? How do you regain composure and refocus so that you don't let the fear get ahead of you again? I don't know if that makes sense.
So we get to Baltimore. All right. I've never lived in that region of the United States, but suppose I did.
Yeah.
What if I knew, like, hey, I know I can get off 95, and I know some side streets and some surface roads and some smaller highways where I can just keep moving and try to get ahead of this. Right?
Yeah.
That's knowledge I have from a previous experience.
Okay.
Okay, so that's part of the fear, right? I don't want to be in this traffic, but I can't get off because I don't know where I am. Right?
Yeah.
If I don't know where I am and I get off, I can get more lost and lose more time.
Right.
Okay. So I have to stay on the path I'm on. Why? Because I'm not experienced enough. Okay, so it's going to happen. I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to stay and take my ass whoop. Okay. What I like to do are little strategic retreats to a position where I'm comfortable. Okay?
Where you know the roads.
What's that?
Where you know the roads.
Where I know the road. Okay? So I'm going to get to those positions. Maybe it's half guard. Okay? No matter what, I want to get to half guard. I'm in mount, I'm going to get to half guard. Because I know where to go from there.
Okay.
So you have to be diligent in training, know yourself, and be honest with yourself what your positions are that you can retreat to where you know you can work from.
Okay.
And would a retreat position be the mount? Top of mount?
Top of mount? No.
No. Would it be top of side control?
No.
Okay. See, again, you have to be honest with yourself.
Right.
So I'll just mount the guy. Yeah, but you're not in position mounted. Well, I'll get there.
Yeah.
Time comes, I'll get there. We've heard that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. People they think too much of their jiu-jitsu.
Right.
But no one's that good. No one's that good. So I like to have the plan, like, hey, the escape route. Where do I need to get to? Right? I go to, what do I do when my guard's about to be passed? I go crooked turtle.
Right.
With the hook in, and I get something that, if I don't see something with that hook, like a sweep or something, I can instantly get to half guard. Right?
Yeah.
So I take a chance. Maybe I'll catch something with the hook and get lucky. If the person doesn't know exactly what I'm doing, I could get this. Or if worst case scenario, I'm gonna wind up bottom of half, which is I'm fine with.
Because now you're back to somewhere you know.
I'm back to familiar territory.
And then when we're in familiar territory, it's easier to focus that fear on on danger that we know is present, as opposed to fearing things that we don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
it's the saying that the devil you know versus the devil you don't know.
Right.
Right. That saying came up for a reason, didn't it?
For sure.
Yeah. I know the pitfalls of the half guard, and I'm okay with it. You know, I'm not okay with the pitfalls of bottom of mount or having my back taken.
So on that note, I would say, especially when we're starting jiu-jitsu as beginners, right? We're spending a lot of time bottom of side, bottom of mount, having our back taken.
Yes.
And if you can get comfortable in those positions, not that you ever want to retreat to those positions.
You don't want to get comfortable. You want to get tough in those positions.
Okay. But you want to know the roads there.
Yes.
You want to know the roads there.
Yes.
But when we're talking about retreat, we're talking about somewhere that's not necessarily purely disadvantageous. So we're talking about a certain, you're on bottom, but you still have you're still in the game, right? You have your guard,
You're still absolutely in the game.
whether it's half guard or closed guard or
Yes.
getting to your knees or something like that.
Or just a hook.
Or just a hook.
Or, you're at to some weird position where, it's not quite half guard yet. It's not quite side control yet. It's in that middle area, but you got your grips and your frame set up and you're not going to lose position.
Can you use that same mentality, or would you say to use that same mentality when you're in a passing position? So let's say I don't know how to deal with spider guard, and I'm rolling with this guy, and this guy's got a spider guard, and my arms are all the way over here, and I'm getting moved around, and I'm
Absolutely.
like, but you know what? I know how to deal with De La Hiva. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push myself to give him an easy De La Hiva, and then I'm going to work from there rather than, because I don't know what to do in the spider guard.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you want to know what I would do in all open guards?
Yeah.
And even all guards, period. I pin one knee to the floor. That's my retreat. Right?
Okay.
Because I'm not really. Would you say that's part of the pass, is pinning one knee to the floor?
Could be the beginning of a pass.
It's kind of the beginning of the pass, but you don't see it in a Toriando, you don't see it over under, you don't see. So to me, that's a little. The guard is open for sure at that point.
Right.
But putting the knee to the mat may not be an important part of getting around. But to me, that's my retreat part. If someone's got a lasso, spider guard, like that Hobson Mora kind of inverted stuff, I got to get one of their knees to the mat. And I instantly feel more comfortable. And I know I can work from there.
Right.
So that would be in passing. That would be my retreat. I would go to that. Because it's not really driving forward or trying to get around the legs and beat the hip line, is it? It's just putting the other person's body in a position.
Right. And then you have a moment if you want to unwind grips, if you want to regrip, if you want to cut an angle, if you want to.
I go to there and I rethink. I just look at it and say, okay, what are my options?
Right. I got you.
So that's what a retreat. Retreat may not be the best word. I go to a strategic position, a familiar strategic position.
Okay. So just to backtrack a little bit from when you first started on the topic, we said that fear is the acute awareness of danger. That's the definition you use, right? And what you said, it can be difficult to teach that. And so again, like danger in jiu-jitsu, what is danger? So a white belt thinks an armbar is danger, right? Blue belt might understand that, having their arms separated from their rib is the beginning of danger.
Yes.
Whereas what you're saying is you might sense danger from just the grip that the person has from a position, even if it's from a completely neutral position, right?
Yeah.
So
it could just be the angle they're at.
How do we accumulate that sensitivity to get our danger senses, our spidey senses, to be more refined, to be more specific, right? Because the idea is to bring it from all the way out here where I'm worried about getting tapped, and then it's like, oh, maybe there's an arm bar, and then it's like, no, I'm thinking about the underhook, to where I don't want him to grab my wrist, to I don't like where he's leaning. How do we work on bringing that spidey sense to be more and more specific?
Being more in the moment.
Be more in the moment.
Yeah. How many times have I heard, oh, I was going for the pass and I got triangle. Right? You're thinking pass.
Right.
When you're in a position where you should be thinking of, okay, you know, the position my body's in, the easiest two things here are armbar and triangle.
Right.
Okay. So that was a person when people said, oh yeah, I was almost past and I got triangle. You know, I just say, okay, well, you weren't in the moment then, where you were thinking ahead.
Yeah.
And you missed that. You missed the complete education you should have just gotten. Like knowing the body position and feeling that triangle come on, saying, wow, I don't ever want that to happen again.
Right.
You know, I know exactly where it happened. I know exactly what went wrong.
And often
say that? No. I was almost past and I got triangle.
There is no almost in jiu-jitsu.
There's no almost. But that's a person who wasn't actively thinking and training in the moment.
Right.
Because if you were, you said, oh man, again, I went one in and one out. I knew it was a mistake and he caught me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Did I mention anything about the pass?
No.
No, because I was thinking where I was at that moment.
Right.
Not about the future. Right. But people need to train in the moment and be very analytical and be very honest with yourself. The get it or get away with it speech I give people, right?
Yeah.
You could put that on your t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't actually have the courage to think that you might suck, right? And just say, how do you fix things if you can't even admit they're broken?
Absolutely.
So again, is that another fear?
What specifically?
Not willing to admit you have a problem.
Well, I think people are afraid of admitting they have a problem, right?
Fear, right?
Yeah.
They're afraid to admit they don't get it. They don't understand it.
They didn't.
Right? These people, they won't ask questions unless somebody else asks a question because they feel that asking a question is going to make them look stupid.
Right.
Well, no one else is asking a question. If I ask a question, he's going to think, I don't know what I'm doing. And that stripe's out the window for tonight.
Right.
Everything's going to hit that stripe tonight. I just don't ask any questions. Don't look stupid. Make it look like I know what I'm doing and get a few things right. Yeah, I'm going to get a 0.5 cent piece of white athletic tape on my belt, and I'm going to be a better person.
That's exactly how it works.
That's exactly what happens, right? Instead of just saying, hey, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I understand the position, but I'm missing something. Right? Go a little deeper.
I think when we spoke prior, you mentioned something which I really liked also, is it kind of like what you were talking about prior with jiu-jitsu, where you said, you know, are you worried about the arm bar? No, you're worried about this grip that's right in front of you that's going to set everything up. So it's kind of the same thing when someone's saying they're afraid of asking a question, and you said, well, why don't you take a second and look at what the fear is actually telling you? Because you're not afraid of saying the words and the words coming out of your mouth. You're not afraid of the other person hearing the words, right? So what are we actually afraid of? Are you afraid of being thought of as stupid? Are you afraid of making a fool of yourself? And then the deeper you go, you get more and more specific, and you know, you get to the root of it, and it's much easier to make a decision based on whether the fear is actually justified or not, right?
Yeah. You know, people challenge themselves by, you know, doing a certain amount of push-ups or training a certain amount of days or doing all these competitions. But do they challenge themselves to mentally and emotionally get through this and have a good time? Right? Yeah. Enjoy it?
Yeah.
Do they do anything about that? Like conquering the fear they have of whatever's going on with them. No. No one takes on that battle. You know, there's no gym they join to fix that.
Right.
You know, that's where a sports psychologist would come in, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? That's the most elite athletes in the world are doing this, aren't they?
It's really big right now.
Coaches are doing it. General managers. Everybody's doing it. Why? Same reason they're, you know, taking PEDs probably, you know?
Right.
It's going to make them better at their job.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying everybody go out and get a shrink right now to fix your blue belt jiu-jitsu game. No. But just there's a little self-analysis you can do. Like ask a question, right? No one's going to laugh at you, right? I'm not going to take your birthday away from you if you ask too many questions.
Well, experiment also, right? You're here to collect data. I think when I say experiment, I think also people are afraid of trying something earnestly and failing.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when they want to do something new, they put them in a circumstance where the failure doesn't hurt their ego. Yeah. Right? I'm going to try this move I've never done before on this guy who's twice my size, because if it doesn't work, I can hide behind the fact that they're bigger or stronger or they're a brown belt or whatever, right? But no, it's when you're a brown belt or an upper belt and you're rolling with a white belt and you're doing a technique that you're trying to learn, and even the white belt can stump it because you're still figuring out the pieces. Yeah. There's nothing you can hide behind, right? But if you don't face that fear and kind of put yourself in that situation, you're also never going to progress, right?
I told you the story. I did it at brown belt when I changed my guard pass.
Right.
Every blue belt swept me, and you know, chirping in the locker room about it and whatever. When this pass is done, I'm gonna hurt you people. You know, that's what you get. And here's the thing, and I think this stretches out way past jiu-jitsu. Okay, it's about being honest with yourself. When you look to assign blame, who's the first person you should start with?
Yourself.
Yourself. Who does that? No one.
I wish more people did.
Yeah, I wish more people. Okay, I got swept. Okay. Was he because he was stronger than me, better than me? How did I get swept? Okay. Well, look at yourself. Where was my base? Where were my grips? You know, was I too close, too far? What was my actual position? Right? What did I do wrong to get swept? That's what people have to start thinking. And they're not.
One of the things that kind of hit me in a funny way after I got my brown belt was, you know, you get a certain belt and sometimes you just take for granted that certain things are going to be easy, like as if anything changed, right?
Yeah.
And I was, you know, trying stuff and I was getting frustrated by lower belts. And then, you know, I had this like epiphany, which is really stupid, but like, you know, jiu-jitsu at the end of the day is an application of physics. And like the laws of force doesn't care if it's a white belt, you know, pulling your arm or if it's a black belt pulling your arm. If there is a certain pull on your arm at a certain angle with a certain force, it doesn't make a difference where it's coming from. It's going to do what it does, right? If you're getting swept, it's the other person doesn't matter. What matters is you didn't have an answer for this power, this force, this pressure or whatever coming at you from this angle.
Yeah.
Right? You need to be aware of that can happen and how do you respond to it. It doesn't make a difference if it's a white belt doing it or black belt doing it. The difference is the black belt is going to apply it quicker, faster, and more efficiently, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have a magical power over gravity and Newtonian physics, right? It's the same thing. Yeah. So you really have to, if you want to get better, you can't think of how do I beat this person. You should be able to apply the same thing across the board to everybody.
Yes.
Right? Ideally, realistically, it's easier said than done. But ideally, against big, small man, woman, you know, black belt, white belt, you have a technique that you know should work across the board because you know the ingredients that you need.
Yes. Yes. And, you know, the deeper you get into it, the more you understand about small adjustments.
Right.
You got to make these fine tuning, these little adjustments for all these different people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's just a physics equation, right? This guy's a little bit shorter. This guy's a little bit heavier. This guy's basing his weight a little bit more here. And it's just
change your angle. It's all about the angle then at that point.
Change the angle.
If you want to change the angle in one position, say, hey, maybe this will work somewhere else. Then you have to have the courage to try it in the other places to see what happens.
Right.
You know,
right.
To be in the lab experimenting.
And be okay if it fails, right?
And embrace it if it fails. Like, okay, that's one thing I can take off the table.
Right.
And I have 8 left.
And
so every time it fails, one more thing comes away, and I get closer and closer to the solution.
Right. Right.
But people don't think it like that.
Right.
Their failure is a step back. How come you can't make a failure a step forward?
Right? So, on that note, you and I might have a little bit of different perspective from a lot of people who train, because we've trained a lot and we've committed a lot to this sport. But for our average person who's training, even if they're training 5 days a week, this is their hobby that they do on the side.
Yeah.
And the way we relate to most hobbies, I think people relate to jiu-jitsu a little bit differently, which is interesting. But, we want to get away from it. I don't want to go to a place. I don't want to go to my hobby to a place where I'm working on myself. I want to go to my hobby to get away from the stress of work and life and whatever. So how do you maintain that balance of keeping it fun while still intentionally, because we're not just talking about getting better at technique. We're talking about working on our mentality, our psychology, on our emotional responses. So how do you keep that balance of, I want to keep it light and fun, but I'm still working?
Well, it's just, that's where some discipline comes in, and just keeping the ego in check. And, most people want to get better when they do something, don't they?
Yeah. Yes.
So that's where goals come in.
Right.
Right. And I think back where I was a white belt going against these higher blue belts and maybe a purple belt or two. And it was like, okay, I made it 30 seconds before I got tapped. Let's see if we can go for a minute next time. Right. What was I doing that hung me up so bad? Okay, I'm not keeping my arms in enough. I'm not protecting my arms. Everything is wide open. I'm giving too much away. Okay, let me keep them in a little tighter, see if I can go a minute. Okay, I got choked in a minute. Okay, let me keep it in, and let me do a better job of protecting my neck. Maybe I can go 2 minutes now. Right? You got to have a game plan, and there has to be goals in there as well, things you're looking to achieve. People put goals everywhere else, personal life, family life, work life, right? There's goals. Why can't you do that with jiu-jitsu?
What are goals you would recommend people put down?
Learning how to pass the guard effectively, right?
Okay.
And you haven't learned a technique unless you can fully explain it and repeat it.
Right.
Okay, that's when you know a technique. When I can explain it and I can repeat it. Okay, make the goal to be learning how to do that.
Proficient in some technique, whatever technique speaks to you.
Yeah, just in the beginning, just the ability to learn how to learn. Right? Isn't that like an art form in itself?
Absolutely.
Having the ability to learn. I've heard so many times, yeah, I'm not doing good because, you just don't explain it the way I need to hear it. Right? Well, I don't learn that way. You've heard that, right?
Sure.
Yeah. It's people, well, I'm sorry that this class isn't custom tailored to you.
Right.
This is how it was explained to me, and this is how I explain it to you. So maybe you have to look again at yourself. Right?
Right, because you're the only one that's losing.
Yes.
Right? I did my job, I taught. You gotta learn.
If I'm explaining a technique and 20 guys get it and you don't, and you're coming to me telling me I should figure a better way to explain it, maybe you should look at yourself and think of, wow, maybe there's a better way of learning it. Maybe there's something I'm missing some skill set I don't have in learning, right? Because that's learning is a skill in its own.
Totally.
Some people learn quicker and easier than other people. Those people probably become what, like scientists, doctors, lawyers, right? Because they can take in that information, process it, and explain it, and repeat it.
Right.
Okay, that's all we're doing. If you can explain it and you can repeat it, that's no different than any other job. You know, you lay tile. Can you explain what you did and repeat what you did? Yes, then you understand how to lay tile. If you're a welder, can you explain what it is to weld and repeat it? Yes, I guess you're a welder then. No different than jiu-jitsu. It's you have to have that ability to learn.
Right.
You know, you can go from school to school, instructor to instructor. Everybody's going to teach differently.
Right.
You know, if you're going to look around forever to find that exact person who you relate to and can only learn from them, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a good game plan. You should be learning from everybody.
Yeah. Well, I just want to take that thought and just progress it a little bit for people who are learning to teach or teaching instructors.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about looking inside. From the instructor's point of view, when we have a student who doesn't learn, right, we look at ourselves and say, well, how am I teaching it that this person is not getting it, right?
Exactly. I take notes.
That's on us, right?
Yes. I don't blame you. I don't call you an idiot.
Correct. They have a responsibility to learn, but we also take our job seriously, and we look at ourselves and say, well, why wasn't I able to get through to this person regardless of what they're doing, right?
I know you're doing the same thing. I'm always refining the easiest way to explain something. The fewest amount of words, the fewest amount of steps where everybody gets it, right? And use certain analogies and this and that. And, you know, if I've done it where I've said something and I just see blank stare. So I take the notes, to keep that out of it. And I've said other things where people, you see the click, you hear the click and like the light bulb goes up. Okay, let's keep this in because everybody seems to get it when I explain it like this. I take those notes because it makes, if I'm critical on how I explain it, in the long run, it makes my job easier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
it's easier to repeat.
It's in my best interest to analyze how I'm doing my job and make it better because it makes it easier.
Right.
If I explain it wrong and have to re-explain it to 30 people on the mats, is that making my job harder or easier?
It makes it harder. I've had those nights. I forget a detail and then everybody's messing something up and I'm like, oh man, now I gotta tell everybody. Yeah.
It shoots the night, doesn't it?
It does.
It sucks the energy out of the room.
Right.
Yeah. So having everybody energized after we explain a technique and full steam ahead, we're going after this. That makes the night. When everybody's kind of looking around and trying to figure out which hand's the left, which one's the right, and like, what was that fourth step? Wait, what about this? That just, it's driving on 4 flat tires then.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think instructors, we've gotten to that point where it's okay. It's us. It's all about us, isn't it? It begins and ends. It's, if we had a great night on the mats, we did a good job. If we had a shitty night in the mats, it's our fault. Right? There's who else is there to blame?
Right. No, it's on us. On that note, we're running short on time.
Okay.
Just wanted to ask, were you doing something new with Gymnastica down there in Vero? Were you doing like Gymnastica privates now, or is that something that people have been picking up from camp and they've been kind of I saw a lot of stuff on social media of other people doing your Gymnastica routines that you've been teaching. Yeah,
it was VJ Vicente Jr. and his son were doing it. They do it now at home. They were there every morning at camp.
Oh, these guys just picked it up in camp.
Well, Vicente trained it like 20 years ago. He used to buy the Alvaro VHS tapes.
All right.
So so he was into it for years and years.
That's awesome.
But he was real excited to have his son Gabriel kind of see it and experience it, and they've been doing it every morning since. So
that's awesome.
I love hearing that. Yeah.
So what's on the schedule for Vero Beach this coming winter for the snowbirds? Is it just we're back to the clinics? Is there
clinics are coming. We did a little revamp. We're doing a little revamp at the gym. I got wall mats up.
Right.
The signage for the window is being produced as we speak. A little redecorating.
Awesome.
Might have some wallpaper going up. Might have more mats on order. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things that are out there in the universe.
Good things. And are you still putting up that online community?
Yes, working on that. Birdman Army, working on it. Beta testing, maybe. I just ordered a computer yesterday.
Okay.
I'm officially entering the 21st century,
Amazing.
or even 20th century for that point. Got a laptop computer coming.
Very cool.
And a MacBook Pro M3 processor. So yes, I'll be able to edit. I'll be able to do things not like squinting at my phone.
Awesome.
So I think I've been doing a lot of work and research on the community, the portal.
Yeah.
And once the computer comes, I think it comes in Friday. It's supposed to be delivered. I think I can really start moving forward, and then as soon as I get enough content up, we're going to beta test it, and I'm hoping you'll be one of my testers.
Awesome.
Maybe you, Nikki, Peter, Professor Mike, Johnny Cruz. We'll get some guys who can just beta test it and see what they think.
Awesome. Very cool. Good things coming up.
Things are, we're moving at a pretty rapid pace.
Awesome.
All
right.
Keep my postings up.
Yeah, it's been moving. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Yeah, just don't let your brain get in the way of training. Right? Don't
let your brain get in the way of life.
Yeah, don't let your brain get in the way of life. Don't let your ego get in the way of things. We're just like Nikki Five Quick says, hey, you suck till further notice.
You suck. That's right.
And I look at myself like that too, especially with all the new work, the computer work and stuff I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I'm reaching out for help.
We're constantly going to new places where we suck again, right?
Yes. I'm doing online tutorials. I'm going onto forums, seeing what people have to say. I'm asking people I don't know questions, and they're helping me. Right? I'm telling people I need help. Asking questions.
That's how we got to do it. We got to look at ourselves.
That's how you get better. You don't know everything. I don't know everything. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. On that note, we're back on the schedule for the podcast.
Yes.
We'll roll some out, and hope to hear from you guys in the comments, and we'll see you guys soon. Yeah,
throw some questions down there and ask our opinions. We've got some stuff to say. Prove me wrong on pancakes. I'm open.
The pancake wars are starting.
The pancake war has begun.
All right, guys. Be well.
Take care.